All right, Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Bashem, Rakakadash. Double honors and salutations to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, hopeful elect, you Akim, out here pushing the word with truth and sincerity. Shalom to you. It's your brother Kalak Hart of GMS Northwest. Coming back at you with another video. And it's simple. Charity, love. And I was looking up that word charity, or I was looking at a show last night, and charity, love came about. And we know charity and love was love to the Most High. It's keeping His law, statute, commandments. And we're demanded, commanded to have charity in this thing. As a matter of fact, before I read the definition of that, we go to 1 Corinthians, the 13th chapter. And we're going to get straight into it at the last verse. 1 Corinthians 13 and 13, it says, "And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of them is charity." And you go in that word charity, I think it's agape.
Strong's G26, agape. Agape.
Agape, affection, goodwill, love, benevolence, brotherly love, love feast, And we know in this times we're living in, that the love of many shall wax cold, right? Where is that? Matthew 24. Here we go. Yeah, Matthew 24 and 12, it says, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." And we know that word wax is psycho. So we know people are going psycho because their love, their agape is waxing cold. It's turning psycho against each other. It's turning psycho against the Heavenly Father. People are starting to realize, this place, America, ain't nothing but a social experience, a horrible existence. It's a lie. It's fake. And, we can't continue to carry on in this world like this. This is Matthew 24 and 12 in the NLT. It says, "Sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold." So sin is multiplying in the earth. It's beginning, or we're at the beginning of sorrows. That's why the scriptures tell us to redeem the time. Because it's things are beginning to. They already were been turned up, but they're beginning to be even more. What word am I looking for? It's beginning to be more hell. Jacob's trouble around the corner. The hour of temptation is coming. War. You got the UK telling their people to stockpile 72 hours of goods. You got Russia and Putin assassinated, his limousine being blown up, which I think, that's probably an inside thing. Blow up my limousine, I ain't gonna be in it. These they out there playing games, man. This thing is a circus, and it's forever, sending out surprises. This is Ephesians 5 and 15. "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil." So how are we going to redeem the time? We stick to this script. We stick to the scriptures. We stick to obeying the commands, obedience to the Lord. That's going to keep us out of the way. We're going to keep rehearsing the righteous acts, and that's love. As a matter of fact, let's get that definition of charity real quick. Starting from the top, charity, a noun, late Old English, benevolence for the poor. Caring for the poor. As a matter of fact, what's that? Isaiah 61. 61 and 1, the Spirit of the Lord, Isaiah 61 and 1, the Spirit of the Lord power is upon me, because the Lord Yahweh have appointed me to preach the good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prisons to them that are bound. And we're bound in this hell. You know, the Lord has trusted us with this gospel to bring it to the hopeful elect. You know, Abaratazah. You know, we always say Abaratazah, that Lord willing, we're part of that number when this thing ends, when this thing starts to, you know, crumble down to the ground, that the Lord looked upon our works, our love, our charity towards him, you know, our husband, and that we've been doing the right thing. He's going to keep us safe when he brings the wrath and destruction, you know, to America, you know, Babylon the Great and other parts of the world. Verse 2, it says, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, and the day of the vengeance to our power, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, planted of the Lord Yahweh, that he may be glorified. So that oil, you know, a joy. You know, we got the oil, the elect took the oil, you know, and they trimming those lamps continually and continuing. And you got to do that by sticking to the script, sticking to the prophecies in this thing. Going back to charity, late Old English, benevolence for the poor. Also, Christian love is its greatest manifestation. Of Old French, clarite, charity, Salakia, mercy, compassion, alms, charitable, foundation, costliness, or costliness, esteem, affection, valued. You know, in the Vulgate, the Latin word often is used as translation of Greek agape, love, especially Christian love to a fellow, and that's, you know, brotherly love. You know, doing what you're doing what you're supposed to do. You know, it pertains to the brothers in the ministry. You know, getting closer with the brothers, going to camp, doing your lessons, sitting down with brothers, talking about, you know, just in the spirit, talking to each other with spiritual hymns, and you know, that's what all we do when we're amongst each other. We, you know, we talk about you know, the kingdom. We talk about people and how fucked up the world is, how fucked up Esau is. You know, that's just building with one another. You know, Lord willing, we get saved from this world altogether. We be on the same chariot. But that's Abaratazah, and that's up to the Lord, you know. But let's get into some of these scriptures, and then that'll be it. This is Psalms 116, starting at the top. Psalms 116 and 1, it says, I love the Lord Yahweh, because he have heard my voice and my supplication. Because he have inclined his ear unto me, therefore I will call upon him as long as I live. You know, so calling on the Lord, that's an act of love. It said, I love the Lord. And what is love? That's keeping the law, statute, commandments. Let's go to that real quick. 2 John 1 and 5, 1 and 6. 2 John 1 and 6. I start at 4. 2 John 1 and 4, I rejoice greatly that I found of thy children walking in truth, as we have received a commandment from the Father. And now I beseech thee, lay thee not, as though I write a new commandment unto thee, but that which we had from the beginning, that we love one another. And this whole thing is about, man, you know, loving your brother, loving your neighbor, being there for your brother. You know, your brothers in this faith, your spiritual brothers. We got spiritual brothers in this thing. We got spiritual fathers. You know, being there for one another until this thing crumbles, you know. It says, and this is love, that we walk in his commandments. This is the commandment, that as ye have heard from the beginning, ye shall walk in it. 2 John 1 and 6 in the NLT, it says, love means doing what God has commanded us, and he has commanded us to love one another, just as you heard from the beginning. Do you hear that? And we know what love is keeping of the commandments. If thou love me, was it 14 and 15? Yeah, Salakia. Yeah. John 14 and 14. If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If ye love me, keep my commandments. So if you love the Lord, you're going to keep his commandments. You're going to do as thou sayest. Now, if we jump over to John 21 and 15, here's another commandment. John 21 and 15. So when they had done, Yahushua saith to Peter, Simon, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these? He saith unto him, Yea, Lord, thou know that I love thee. He said unto him, Feed my lambs. So that's a commandment. Feed the lambs. Does it mean go get you a bunch of goats, go get you a barn, rent out a barn, buy some goats, and start feeding lambs? No, the lambs, hey, remember, the Lord said in Matthew, the 10th chapter, I'm looking for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The sheep we're likened it to sheep, and the grand lamb is Yahushua. He said unto him again the second time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? He said unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He said unto him, Feed my sheep. So if you love the Lord, hey, you're gonna find a way to feed his sheep. You're gonna do what the Lord told you to do, and that's daily feeding the sheep as much as you can. Or portion it out as much as you can. Be content. And every brother have his his setup on how he feed the lambs. But nevertheless, we're of this whole body. We of this whole body. He says unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee. Yahushua said to him, Feed my sheep. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, when thou wast young, thou girdest thyself and walkest whither thou wouldest. But when thou shalt be old, thou shalt stretch forth thy hands, and another shall gird thee and carry thee whither thou wouldest not. So if you love the Lord, you have love, you want to show charity, feed the lambs. You got to feed the lambs. Let me jump over to the Old Testament. Let me see what this is about over here. Deuteronomy 6. I'm going to start at the top. Deuteronomy 6 and 1. Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which the Lord Yahweh, your power, commanded to teach you, that ye might do them in the land whither you go to possess it. That thou mightest fear the Lord, what is the beginning of fear of the Lord? It's keeping his law, statutes, commandments. And that's love. Thy power to keep all his statutes and commandments which I command thee, thou and thy son, and thy son's son, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as the Lord power, Yahweh, of thy fathers have promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Shema Yasharallah, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Salakia, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, Achad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. Hear, O Israel, the Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, our power is one power, or one Lord, Yahweh. And thou shalt love the Lord Yahweh, thy power, with all thy heart and all thy soul, and with all thy might. And that's what, hey, that's all we got in this captivity, man. We got the Lord. We don't got anything else. We got the ministry, we got the brothers, but that's all interwoven and connected to the Lord. Shema Yasharallah, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, Achad, Shema Yasharallah, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh Achad. That's what that Deuteronomy 6:4 is talking about right there. Let's jump over to the Apocrypha. I'm almost finished. Wisdom of Solomon 6 and go straight to 17. Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 17. For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love. Discipline, obedience, moral compass in this thing, trying to get clean off that old man, dust off that old man. It's a grind each and every day. It's a grind each and every day. It's not, a cakewalk. This is not meant to be a cakewalk. Through much tribulation, we shall enter to the kingdom. So you're going to be tempted. You're going to go through temptation, but the more you stay in it, the more you grind it out, the more you endure, the Lord is going to bless you. He's going to increase you for your love. It's like a husband and wife. The wife shows her love to her husband. The husband is going to take care of her, man. He gonna make sure she all right. But once she start being disobedient, talking back, doing what she want to do, not listening, the husband gonna banish her, man. He not gonna deal with her. He's gonna say, go about your way and let the streets handle you. And we know it's a lot of grimy ass shits in the streets. Verse 18, and love is keeping of her laws, and the giving heed into her laws is the assurance of incorruption. So giving heed into her laws is the assurance of incorruption, and incorruption makes us up near unto power. So it's a fearful thing to fall in the hands of the living power. So you keep breaking the laws. The wages of sin is death, but you keep breaking the laws, man. The Lord gonna show your ass. He's gonna have to pull out that spiritual belt and whoop your ass, man. Which that's gonna translate to something physical on this side. So you got to get right. You got to understand that. But we know only the elect is gonna, see it through. Wisdom of Solomon 3:9. They that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints, and he have care for his elect. Who is the elect? That's the 144,000, 12,000 from each tribe, then the 1/3 women, men, and children. That's the elect of the nation of Israel, the governing body. That's gonna govern the world, to the world to come, the kingdom of heaven, starting with Yahweh Shah, King David, to 12, or the 144,000, to 12 to 144,000, and those 1/3 women, men, and children. Verse 10, it says, but the ungodly shall be punished according to their own imaginations. Which have neglected the righteousness and forsaken the Lord, who also despises wisdom and nurture. He is miserable, and their hope is vain. Their labor is unfruitful, and their works unprofitable. Their wives are foolish, and their children are wicked. Their offspring is cursed, wherefore blessed is the barren that is undefiled, which have not known the sinful bed. She shall have fruit in her vegetation of soul. So that's heavy. That's heavy right there. Let me get one more, or a couple more. Let me get this one in Sirach 19. Sirach 19 and 18, it says, the fear of the Lord is the first step to being accepted of him, and wisdom obtaineth his love. That's heavy, man. The fear of the Lord is the first step to be accepted of him. What is the fear of the Lord? It's keeping the law, statutes, commandments. Look, what just came out? the monoglycerin or whatever in the pork, man. Or they putting that in all of these foods out here, man. It's another thing to look out for. If you really about, following after the Lord, you'll do your best you can to avoid that, because it's in a lot of stuff. You'll read labels. We already knew it, but Man, it's in everything. Verse 19, it says, the knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life. The knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life. And they that do these things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. Ooh, that's heavy. The fear of the Lord is all wisdom, and in all wisdom is the performance of the law, and the knowledge of his omnipotency. Salakia, the tongue twister. If a servant say to his master, I will not do as it pleases thee, though afterwards he do it, he angereth him that nourisheth him. The knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither at any time the counsel of sinners prudence. There is a wickedness in the same, an abomination, and there is a fool wanting in wisdom. He that hath small understanding and feareth God is better than one that has much wisdom and transgresseth the law of the Most High. You hear that, Alizé? He that hath small understanding and fear of God is better than one that has much wisdom and transgresses the law of the Most High. That's heavy, man. That's heavy. You know? So we're going to continue to trust in the Heavenly Father. You know, we're going to continue to fear the Lord. And we'll close it out with this. In Joshua, you know, we're going to continue to do what's right in the sight of the Lord. You know, we're going to continue to do what's pleasing in the sight of the Lord. This is Joshua 24:14. It says, now therefore fear the Lord and serve him with sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood in Egypt, and serve the Lord. You know, serve him in sincerity and truth. You got to serve the Lord in sincerity and truth. You know, you got to put away that lying tongue. You know, and you gotta come correct. Verse 15, and if it seems evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord with love and charity. Charity and love, same thing, go hand in hand, you know? So, with that said, you know, I hope it's edified. I hope you got something out of this. Hope to see you on the next video. Lord willing, shalom.